Okay, let's dive into this. If you've ever proved you aren't a robot by, clicking on all the traffic lights in a tiny grid, or maybe you've corrected a helpful chatbot when it gave you a slightly broken piece of code, well, you've done data annotation. Welcome to today's Explainer. We're pulling back the curtain on the hidden economic loop of this massive, everyday data industry. We're going to explore what we call the life cycle of data attribution and rewards, and we're really going to examine why the current digital systems we interact with every single day might literally be leaving you empty-handed. This hidden economy relies completely on human intelligence to function. So if you have ever contributed information, labeled an image, or added context to a system, this is going to be incredibly relevant to you.
I want you to really think about something for a second. What happens to the data you annotate today, years from now? Does it just vanish into the ether the second you hit submit? Every single day, millions of microtasks are completed by everyday users all over the world. But we rarely pause to think about the long-term fate, or honestly, the downstream value of those digital contributions. We kind of treat them as these fleeting, mildly annoying tasks that just get us to the next web page or the next prompt. But their lifespan goes way, way beyond that single moment in time. The reality of where that data goes is a lot more complex and a whole lot more profitable than you might think.
Let's map out exactly how this timeline looks in the status quo right now. So, today, you contribute a valuable annotation. Let's say you spend, 10 seconds accurately drawing a box around a stop sign in a blurry photo, or categorizing a piece of text. It takes your actual cognitive effort and your unique human insight. But down the line, maybe months or even years later, an autonomous agent, like a massive commercial artificial intelligence model or a self-driving car algorithm, uses that exact piece of metadata to refine its product. And over time, that agent generates massive economic value out in the real world. Your quick 10-second task today basically becomes part of a highly lucrative, super sophisticated engine tomorrow. The value doesn't just stop, it compounds indefinitely.
But here is the harsh, unavoidable reality of this timeline. You helped bake the pie, but you are completely locked out of eating it. In most systems today, you receive absolutely nothing. I really want that to sink in for a moment. There's just a staggering disconnect here. A multi-billion-dollar artificial intelligence industry is generating incredible economic value downstream, and it's directly relying on the metadata you helped create and refine. Yet your slice of the pie is zero. You fueled the engine, you provided the exact ground truth the machine needed to learn, but you're entirely locked out of the returns. This creates what we call the void of unrewarded data, and it's basically defined by three massive missing pillars. First up, no attribution. Your digital identity is completely stripped away the second you hit submit. The system just doesn't know or care that it was you who provided that brilliant correction. Second, no reputation gain. Because there's no attribution, you can't build a professional resume, a track record, or establish any kind of authority based on the high-quality data you consistently provide. There's no trophy for your accuracy. And third, maybe the most painful part, the wallet stays empty. There is absolutely no compensation for that downstream value. It's a total dead end for the human creator.
So, what is the final verdict in this current model? Well, simply put, your contribution just disappears into the dataset forever. It gets completely swallowed up, anonymized, and forgotten by the system. It's actually highly ironic if you think about it. We are building these machines designed to remember and know literally everything about the world, yet they instantly and permanently forget the actual humans who taught them. It's a one-way street straight into the digital abyss. You gave the system its accuracy, you basically gave it life, but you're instantly severed from its legacy and its ongoing value.
But what if we could rewire that entire relationship? This is exactly where Codatta comes in. They are fundamentally changing the relationship between contributors and long-term value creation. Instead of just accepting that one-way ticket into a black hole, we're looking at a completely reimagined paradigm. We're looking at a system designed to fix that broken loop from the ground up, restoring the connection between the person who does the mental labor and the long-term value that labor actually creates. It's all about building a completely new architecture for exactly how human knowledge is captured and credited.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the concept of traceable metadata. We're looking at two totally different worlds here. Instead of your data just falling away into the void unrewarded, imagine it being physically anchored. The defining concept of the Codatta loop is that it creates this sort of digital tether, one that simply doesn't snap just because the initial task is over. It's a massive technological shift that permanently connects you, the contributor, to the long-term value of your work. The data is no longer just some disposable commodity. It becomes a traceable asset with a real owner. And this brilliantly illustrates the mechanics of that solution. Here's how that tether actually functions in practice when a piece of data moves through the network. Step 1, your annotations remain traceable. They never vanish into an anonymous black box. Step 2, because that data is traceable, you, the contributor, remain attributable. Your digital signature stays completely intact, so the system permanently knows exactly who provided that foundational value. And step 3, the ultimate payoff. As that metadata is used to generate real-world utility, whether that's months or years later, the economic rewards travel right back down that tether straight to your wallet.
Now, this shift has a massive impact on human behavior. Think about human nature for a second here. If you know your work is just going to be swallowed into a void, completely unrewarded, you're probably going to phone it in, right? The inevitable result of zero long-term incentives is careless contributions. Why put in painstaking effort if your work just disappears? But the very moment you introduce traceable economic rewards, the entire dynamic flips. People take aim. They contribute carefully and accurately because the quality of their work directly impacts their long-term reward. High-quality incentives naturally produce high-quality human data.
So, the crucial point is this. Sustainable intelligent systems require sustainable contributor incentives too. It's an infinite loop. You simply cannot build the future of AI, these massive, complex, world-changing models, if you are actively draining the very people who are powering them. A machine that takes without ever giving back, it's eventually going to run out of high-quality fuel. In fact, we're already seeing models collapse when they run out of fresh human data. The system absolutely must sustain its contributors if it wants to sustain itself over the long haul.
Which leaves us with one final, totally vital question to ponder. If sustainable intelligence requires sustainable incentives, what is the true cost of letting your valuable data disappear today? Every single time your data drops into that unrewarded void, we aren't just looking at a simple issue of personal fairness. We're actually threatening the very foundation of sustainable artificial intelligence. It really is time to rethink the hidden power and the hidden rights of the digital footprint you generate every single day. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope you never look at a simple data task the exact same way again.